decrease in dharma and vriddhi ischa papmana, and there is increase in papa. Tadatu Bhagavan Isha, at that time Bhagavan, the Isha, the supreme regulator, Atmanam Srijate Hari, then Hari himself comes or manifests himself. So that's how Krishna came to give relief to the earth. So he speaks little bit about his birth, and finally there will be some little bit of commentary now. Till now Vishwanath Chakravarti was not writing. So nahi asya janmano hetu karmano va mahipate atma mayam vineshasya parasya drashtur atmanah. So nahi asya janmano hetu karmano va mahipate. So there is no cause for his janma and karma, meaning his birth and his activities are not result of some prarabdha karma. Because in the material world, when somebody is born, then we know that that birth is because of prarabdha karma. So therefore he is denying that. Nahi asya janmano hetu karmano va. And our karmas are also because of prarabdha karma past. Right? There is some past karma lingering inside, which is making us act now in a particular manner, or at least influences us to act. So Krishna, he says, is not like that. Atmayam vineshasya parasya drashtur atmana. So he comes by his Atma Maya, or by his own grace. So Atma Maya has different meanings. Different people give different meanings to the word Atma Maya. So this is the Atma Maya of Isha, and this is belonging to Parasya, Drashtur and Atmana. There are three adjectives. He is supreme, and he is Drashta, and he is the Atma of everybody. So his birth is not caused by anything else but by his own Maya. So Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti will give some comment on this. Nanu jivasya janma karmanor hetu prachin karma eva syat, and tasya cha hetur maya Sri Bhagavatastu kim syat. So he says that the cause of Jiva's birth and his activities is because of his prachin karma, the previous activities. Because this material world is running on cause and effect. Everything here happens with the relationship of cause and effect. And the biggest cause and effect in the science, they have fixed cause and effect relationship. And when it comes to consciousness, then cause and effect relationship is called karma. And this karma is not straightforward. Right? Therefore Krishna says Gehna Karmano Gati. It is also cause and effect, but it is not objective like science, that if you walk this many feet then you reach this much distance. So it is there, but not as predictable as in science. So that's why you need philosophy for this, to study this. So this is the prachin karma, and karma is because of Maya, avidya, kam, karma. Avidya is Maya. So why people do karma? Because of avidya. and avidya is the vritti of Maya. So therefore it says tasya hetu Maya. So Sri Bhagavatastu kim syat. So what about Bhagwan? Is he also influenced by this? Ityatyaha na. It says no, not so. Nahi asyeti. Atmana swasya atmasu jivasu va maya kripam bina. So he says that it is atmana swasya, means his own maya, or atmasu means jivasu, maya means kripa. That it is not happening without the kripa. Uttar shloke anugraha iti maya arthvivana. So from the next shloka we understand that this meaning of the word maya is anugraha or grace. So that is also one meaning of the word maya, dambhe kripayam cha. Iti vishva prakashat. Maya shabdena atra kripa eva uchyate. So the word maya here refers to only kripa and not what we think of maya as material energy. Kripaya phalam abhivanjati yashasya. So what is the outcome of kripa? That is being stated. Ishasya janma karma bhyam darshita bhyam sarva jiva uddhart samarthasya. So he is called Isha. Ishasya. So what does Isha means? That he has the power to uplift all living beings from the bondage of birth and karma. Why does he has this capacity or this power like this? Samarthya hetu says parasya, because he is para. What does that mean? Sarvotkristasya, that he is superior to everyone. And kripayam hetuhu, what is the reason for his kripa? Atmano jivan drashtu sansar dukhabdhahu patitan viloketu. So he sees that because he sees the jivas who are in the sense suffering in this ocean of material world. So therefore he gives his kripa. Yan maya chestitam punsha sthiti utpatyapyaya hi anugrahastannibhrite atmalabhaya chaishyate. So yan maya chestitam punsha sthiti utpatti apyaya hi anugraha. So it is his maya, the maya of Purusha, that he performs the creation, maintenance, etc. by his maya. And tannivrater atmalabhaya. And he also, it is his kripa that you can become free from this. So this creation is also out of his kripa, out of his grace, and also he gives the means how to get out of this material world. That is also his grace. Anugrahastannivritte atmalabhaya cheshyate. And then you can attain Atma, which is Bhagavan. So kripaya eva hetutvam kaimutyena darshayati yaneti.
On this general subject, and especially the last sentence of the previous tika, to say that his mercy, the cause of his mercy is seeing the jivas suffering in samsara. So this is just reminding me of the discussion in Paramatma Sandarbha about how he has no feeling of material suffering, so seeing that doesn't directly evoke his mercy. So in thinking how these two statements could be consistent, could it be said that this is like he's seeing could we take samsara dukkha as like an abhav of bhakti, and that's what's motivating him? The seeing them so-called suffering in material existence means just going on anyhow, lacking the bhakti that he relishes with his devotees, that inspires him.
So seeing, it can be taken as that seeing indirectly through his devotees. It's like here now we will see that Artha goes to Brahma and Brahma goes and prays, and then he comes. So he is informed by the devotee that there is problem, please come and help. So that can be one type of seeing. Seeing does not mean that he has to personally experience it. But as we studied in Paramatma Sandarbha, Jiva Goswami says that the creation is also done for the sake of his devotees. So therefore his coming also, or creation also, is done for the sake of devotees or on the request of his devotees. So that can be the seeing here. And because the devotees, they see it, and then through them he sees. Or from psychology point of view, there are two types of empathy. One is called cognitive empathy, other is called effective empathy. So cognitive empathy is that when you don't experience it, but you know that there is a problem, and therefore you take action, but you don't feel it. Like you may see something happening, doesn't mean that you empathize in the sense that you get the feeling and you know, oh, this person is poor, he needs help, but you don't feel it yourself. And affective is when you actually feel and you take action. So he is not having effective empathy, only cognitive.
Can I ask one follow-up question? So, following this line of thought, if he has this perception that evokes cognitive empathy, or through his devotees he's come to be aware of this, and then the next verse is saying that even his creation of the world is motivated by this, or is an expression of this grace.
Yeah.
So, just for the sake of discussion, could we say it's not an apparent contradiction that you would perpetually create this thing that by design perpetuates the suffering of the people within it?
How?
Well, I mean, he's described here as the cause of the world.
Yeah.
And then it's also described that in this world that he's perpetually creating, there's this ongoing suffering.
Yeah, but the suffering is so that you can get out of it. Because Jiva is anadi baddha, he did not do it. And now he's creating so that they can get out of it. But if you don't listen, then what can you do? So he quotes this verse that Atmendriya Mana Pranan. I think that is the one he quotes here. Buddhindriya Mana Pranan Jananam Asrijat Prabhu Matrartham Cha Bhavartham Cha Atmane Kalpanaya Cha. So he creates this so that you can have the experience, and then also you get out of it. So having experience is also grace because you want to have it, but you don't become fully satisfied, so then you think of getting out.
Babaji,
Ji.
in this Paramatma Sandarbha, we did that when a person gets compassionate only when he identifies or when he himself has experienced something. So that way, material compassion is not there in Krishna per se, because he doesn't feel anything material. But then the compassion whenever is said for Krishna is only on account of like his devotees praying. And now you are telling that he is empathizing in the effective, not exactly effective, but cognitive way. So what are you saying the difference between empathy and compassion?
So cognitive, you have to understand what is cognitive empathy. Cognitive empathy means that you don't feel it, but you know that people are suffering. Just like I gave the example that earth goes to Brahma and then Brahma goes and he prays to Vishnu. That there is a lot of problems going on. There are asuras, they are destroying dharma. So it comes into his knowledge, that is the meaning of cognitive. And then he does something. So like you may know that there are poor people and the poor people are not in good condition. It doesn't mean that you are feeling their feeling and that is what is impelling you to help. But you understand it is a good thing to do. Right? There are good action and there are bad actions. There is dharma and there is adharma. Right? Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata, and this is what is said, that yada yada hi dharmasya kshayo vruddhisya papna. So what is dharma? Dharma is a good action. Right? And papa is a wrong action. So he has the knowledge what is dharma and what is adharma. So when he gets that knowledge through his devotee, then he comes to help. It does not mean that he is suffering or he is feeling it. Okay. So let's see the commentary on this. So Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti says, Kripaya eva hetutvam kyamutyena darshayati yaditi. So he says that in this verse 58, he is explaining his kripa by Kyamutya Nyaya. Punshah prakriti ikshana kartuhu मायायाम यच्चेष्टितम ईक्षणादिकम कर्म जीवानाम स्थित्यादि अर्थम ही निश्चितम तच्चापि अनुग्रहादेव हेतु. So he says that punsha here means purusha means Paramatma, right? Karnodakshai, Kshirodakshai, Garbhodakshai, these are called purusha. So therefore he glosses on it as Prakriti Ikshana Kartu, one who glances at the Prakriti. Sakshat, he saw, he glanced. So Mayayam Yat Chestitam, so that action which he takes on Maya, Ikshanadikam Karma. So this act of looking at Maya, right? Tasmin Garbham Dadhamiham. Krishna says, what he says, impregnated, that is the meaning of Ikshana. So this is also Anugraha. Why? Because it is Jivanam Sthityadi Artham. This is for the maintenance so that Jivas can exist here in the material world and perform action. So Tachapi Anugraha Dev Heta. So then what to speak of the activities which are absolutely free from any Maya touch or Maya contact. So Maya Gandhenapi Rahitam Govardhan Dharanadi Chestitam iti bhava. So this is the Kyamutya Nyaya. So there are two types of activities which Krishna performs. One is the activity which he does through Paramatma, where he is doing activity in relationship with Maya or Bahiranga Shakti, that is creation, etc. So in that also he does not contact Maya, but at least he is directly involved with it. And then when he comes as Krishna, then he is not involved with Maya at all. He is in his own abode and he is absolutely not touched or involved, because he is not performing any creation, etc. at that time. So he says that even this first act of creation is out of compassion. And then what to speak of the activities which he is performing here, as he mentions Govardhan Dharan Leela. So that is certainly his anugraha. So he wants to show that even the act of creation is out of compassion, and then other activities are of course certainly out of compassion. So this is the Kyamukti. So
That's a small question. Here, Maya Cheshtitam. In this usage of Maya, it means Maya is in Prakriti. Is that right?
Yeah, Maya means Prakriti. No, Maya, he is talking Mayayam Cheshtitam. Yeah, he is here, Maya Cheshtitam, Mayayam Cheshtitam. No, this is Prakriti. Because Maya also means Kripa.
In the previous verse it was Kripa, but now here it's...
Yeah, he's taking that meaning. So nanu vishaya bhogadi hetubhya sthityadibhya punah sansar dukkham eva syat. No, sorry. Buddhi indriyadikam prapya jiva vishaya bhogadikam prapnuvanti. Iti ya kripa tateva mayayam cheshtitam ityartha. So now he says that this Maya cheshtitam here refers to that through Maya he creates their buddhi, senses, mind, physical body, and then jiva, the living entities, they can enjoy or experience material pleasure. So this is kripa also, like people are right, they are so much happy, they are having sense pleasure and they don't want to bother about God. Right? They say, oh, what are you doing? I am enjoying. How are you? I am happy. So how is it possible? Because God made this arrangement. Right? So he said this is kripa. So ya kripa tateva mayayam cheshtitam. So that is cheshtitam in Maya. So now he says nanu vishaya bhogadi hetubhya stitityadibhya punah sansar dukkham eva syat iti koyam anugraha. He says, what is this? People in the material world, you are saying that it is kripa, but they are suffering. So what kind of compassion is this where they are actually suffering? Right? If it is compassion, they should be happy. But everybody is so much scared of coronavirus now. So where is the happiness? So tannivritte. So therefore the verse says tannivritte. It's not only that he creates the material world and then he just puts you there and you're suffering from your karma, but he also gives a solution so that you can become free from it. So tannivritte is atmalabhaya cha. So cha means and also. He gives how you can have atmalabh. So this is therefore the material world has got two priyojana. Right? We studied this in Sankhya Karika also. That Prakriti has got two purposes. One is bhoga, another is freedom, right? From that viveka, so that you can get out. So that's what is being described here. So te nivritte tesham sthityadinam bhakti jnana vairagya nivrittir. So you can become free from this cycle of creation and maintenance, etc. by the process of bhakti, jnana, vairagya. And then what will you gain? Atma labhaya. So Atma is Bhagavan. Atmano bhagavato yo labhas tadartham cha ishyate. So for that reason also he creates it. So therefore creation has got two purposes. One is bhoga, other is moksha. So therefore you have dharma, artha, kama and moksha. So first is called the trivarga, and then the fourth is moksha. So both purposes are there. So both are anugraha. Some people like this, so for them this is anugraha. And others who want to get out, for them that is the anugraha. Buddhi indriyadikam vina bhakti jnanadi api na siddhyet. Because without mind, senses, etc., you cannot execute bhakti or jnana or vairagya. So you need this. So he has given that. So iti jiv matreshu kripa eva hetu. So therefore he has given his kripa for every living being. Those who want bhukti and those who want mukti. He has given his kripa on both of them. So both parties are happy. Those who do not want to believe in God and want to remain in the material world, they are also happy. And those who want to get out, then they are also happy that they have a solution for it. So now this is the sloka which he cites. Buddhi indriya mana pranan jananam asrijat prabhu matratam cha bhavartham cha atmane kalpanaya cha. So Prabhu or God or Bhagavan, he created mind, senses and intellect for the people. Why did he create? Matrartham cha bhavartham cha atmane kalpanaya. So matrartham means to enjoy, bhavartham continue the cycle, birth and death, take another birth. If you are not satisfied by enjoying in this life, then he says, no problem, I will give you another birth. You can try there also. And if you are not satisfied still, I give you one more. So bhavartham, this is the bhava. And atmane kalpanaya. And also, if you want to get out of it, if you want to wrap up, then so for both you need mind, body and senses. In other words, our mind, body and senses can be utilized either for material purpose or for spiritual upliftment. So both are possible, and then one has to decide which one wants. So this is the choice we have. Okay. So any question on this?
Would you pronounce?
Anji.
I have a question on the Sri Krishna's genealogy. It does not seem that Duryodhana and Kauravas are related to Sri Krishna. My question is on what basis did Duryodhana and Kauravas went to Sri Krishna to ask for assistance for the Kurukshetra war, even if they were not related? Like Sri Krishna is cousin of the Pandavas. So why did Duryodhana go there, and why did Krishna help him with Narayana Sena?
So first of all, it is not necessary that somebody has to be related if you want to ask for help. You come to Vrindavan, there are many people who will ask for help. They are not your relatives. Right? You can ask help from anybody. So that is one thing. Second thing is that Pandavas and Kauravas, they are related. So if he is cousin of Pandavas, then he is also cousin of Duryodhana. Because Duryodhana and Pandavas, they are cousins of each. So cousin's cousin is cousin. Right? Friend's friend is friend. And third thing is that Krishna was also related to Duryodhana because Duryodhana's daughter was married to Krishna's son. So it's not that he was not, he has a direct relationship. There was a hotline. He does not have to go through anybody. So it's not true that he was not related. Anything else?
Babaji,
Anji.
and in these various names, there was name of Baka, Kesi. So are these the same Bakasur, Kesi, Demon and all who Krishna killed?
No, these are not. They are separate.
Okay, I was just thinking like because this Kansa was also related to Krishna. So
Yes.
maybe this Bakasur, Kesi and all are the same family kind of.
No, they are separate. Kesi was a horse. And Baka was a crane. These are human beings.
I was getting a little confused like Kansa was born because of that mistaken identity of that Rakshasa. So how come this Baka and Kesi were born? So now that is clarified that they are not the same.
No, they are not same. I mean, so many people are there. There will be different names coming for different people. We already see Sura also came so many times. Sura is grandfather of Krishna, and there is also Sura somewhere, one of the sons of Krishna also, I think. I mean, you see how many people are there. You know? Anything else? Yes.
Can I ask a question on the previous verse, 57?
Yeah.
In Jiva Goswami's Tika,
Hmm.
he's citing the Sadhava Hridayam Madhyam verse, and then he's saying Atma Bhina Tvena San Mateshu Sadhushu Ja Kripa Maya Kripa Tam Vina. So is he there taking the Atma as to refer to devotees?
Yeah.
And is that the Atma in Atma Mayam, or is that the Atmana at the end of the verse?
I think it's Atma Maya. Because he's saying Nyayana Atma Abhinnatvena Sammatesu Sadhasu Ya Maya. So he's talking about Atma Maya. Tam Vina. Atmayam Vina. So it is this Atma is referring to devotees and Maya is Kripa. So this is what Jiva Goswami explains in Paramatma Sandarbha also. So he's keeping the same thread.
Yeah.
Yes.
So do I understand him correctly that here in Grama Sandarbha then it is said that the reason for his appearance is the grace of his devotees?
Grace on his devotees.
On the devotees.
Yeah.
Okay. And when we see so on this topic of compassion and seeing the suffering of the jivas, when I was wondering about Advaita Acharya. So he is Mahavishnu himself. So when he is here on earth, then is he in the mood of a devotee and has effective compassion, or is it also this cognitive?
Well, Vishnu, we have discussed that Vishnu does not come in contact with anything material.
Mhm.
So then what
So it's
else?
just cognitive. Okay.
Yeah, because they don't suffer anything material.
Yeah.
Okay. नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 9, Chapter 24, beginning from verse number 36. So, we read about the different sons of Sursena and also Ugrasena. Devak and Ugrasena were brothers.
Hari Bol. We cannot hear you. No sound.
Yeah, now it's coming.
Haribol, can you hear now?
Yeah, now we can hear you. Okay, thank you.
So we read about the sons of Devaka and Ugrasena and also Devamida. And in the context, he spoke about Vasudev and his brothers. And he had how many? 5 sisters. Pritha, Shrutadeva, Shrutkirti, Shrutasrava and Rajhadi Devi. And then spoke about Pritha, who was given to Kunti Bhoj. She was adopted when the mother of Kunti was pregnant. So at that time Kunti Bhoj was visiting and met with Shura. They were friends. So he said, well, you don't have children, whatever child is born to me, I will give to you. And then Pritha was born. So that's how Pritha went to Kunti Bhoj. And then we read about Pritha doing service to Durvasa. It's his most difficult job. And she passed the test because she is very tolerant, humble, and moved to serve. So she got this Devhuti mantra with which she could invite any Deva. So Durvasa knew the future of Kunti Devi, that the husband will not be able to produce any children in her because of the curse. So that's why he gave this. But Kunti was curious and she tested the mantra and got Karna. So that's what we read. And now he says that Tam Satajan Advitiye Krichat Lokasya Vibhyati. So she abandoned that boy in Naditoye, Atyajan Naditoye, in the water of the river, because she was afraid that she would be criticized, blamed, how she got the child before marriage. And Prapita Mahastam Ovaha Pandur Vai Satya Vikrama. And Shukdev is speaking to Parikshit Maharaj, so he says that your great grandfather Pandu, he married her. And Pandu was a great hero, Satya Vikrama. Then he talks about the other sisters. Srutadevam tu Karusho Vriddha Sarma Samagrihit Yasama Bhut Dantavakra Vaktra Rishi Shakto Dite Sutta. And Srutadeva was married to Karus and gave birth to a son called Dantavakra. So sometimes it is called Dantavakra and sometimes Dantavaktra. So here we read the word Dantavaktra, but mostly here Dantavakra. And he is the one who was cursed by the sages. So he was Hiranyaksha. Hiranyaksha was born as Dantavakra. So Rishi Shapto Ditaha Sutta. he became the son of Diti as Hiranyaksha, and then Hiranyaksha was killed by whom? Varahadev. Now, after that he became Ravan, Kumbhakaran, and then killed by Rama. Now he becomes Dantavaktra. This is the third birth. They have to take 3 births on earth by the curse of the Kumaras. So that is called Rishi Shapta, cursed by the sun. Kakeyo Drishtaketuscha Shrutakirtim Avindata Santardhanadayastasya Panchasan Kakaya Sutaha. And the king of Kekaya, Drishtaketu, married Shrutakirti, and he had 5 sons known as Santardhan. Tardhan was the eldest, other names are not given. So these were known as Kakeya princes. And the next one is Rajadhi Devi. Rajadhi Devyam Avartnyam Jaiseno Janishtaha Damghosas Chedi Raja Shrutasrava Samagrahit. Rajadhi Devi was married to King Jaiseno and had 2 sons from her, Vinda and Anuvinda. And they were the king of Avanti. And Damghosha, the king of Chedi, married Shrutasrava. And Shishupala Sutastasya Katitasya Tasya Sambhava Dev Bhagasya Kansayam Chitraketu Brihadvala. And Shrutasrava gave birth to Shishupal. So the story of Shishupal was already described in 7th canto, how he was killed by Krishna. It is said that when he was born with 4 arms. And then there was a prediction, sound from the sky, that anyone who takes him in his lap and his 2 hands disappear, he is the one who will kill him. So once Krishna was visiting her, and when he took the baby, then 2 hands disappeared. So then Shrutasarva became scared that my own sister's son will kill, because Devaki and Shrutasarva, they are sisters. Mosere to ho gaye na. So then she begged Krishna, please don't kill him. So, and he was not yet able to speak. He was mumbling, rambling, but he was abusing Krishna. So this is said there in 7th canto, we read Kalbhashanat. Kalbhashana means before he can even speak or make articulate sound. Since then he was abusive to Krishna. So that's when Krishna said that I will spare 100 abuses. More than that, he goes beyond my limit. Because if when you are too forgiving, people think you are important. This is the defect of being forgiving. So sometimes you have to not forgive so that people know that you can also take action. So this is the Shishupal, which already we read. And then Devbhaga, the brother of Vasudeva, now he is going to talk about the brothers. So he had 2 sons, Chitraketu and Brihadbala, from Kansa. So these are all sisters of Kansa, daughters of Ugrasena. So Krishna had a big family. It's difficult to keep track because his father had 9 brothers and they're all married, and his father had 13 wives, and from some of them he had 8 children, from Devaki also 8. So he had a big family. It's only here in Vrindavan he was very simple. Only Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda and Balram, that's all. But when you go to Dwarka, it's very difficult to figure out who is who. So many people. Difficult to keep track. So कंसवत्याम देव श्रव से सुवीरेषु मांस था कंकायाम आनका जाता सत्यजित पुरजित तथा. So now comes the next one. Kansavati was married to Devshrava and had two sons, Suvira and Ishuman. And Anak's wife was Kanka and had two sons, Shatrujit and Purujit. So it's actually Satyajit. At least this reading says Satyajit and then it says Shatrujit. Yes, Satyajit. And Srinjayo Rashtrapalyam cha Vrishad Durmarshanaadikan Harikesha Hiranyaksha Surubhumyam cha Shyamakaha. Then Srinjaya, he had many sons like Vrisha and Durmarshana from Rashtrapalika. And Syamaka had two sons, Harikesh and Hiranyaksha from Surubhumi or Surubhum. And Mishrakesha Keshyam Apsarasi Vrikadin Vatsakas Tatha Taksha Pushkarashaladin Durvaksha Vrika Adadhe. So Mishrakeshi, he had sons Vatsaka from Mishrakeshi is some Apsara. Somehow this Vatsaka was married to also some Apsara and had many sons. And Vrika, he had sons from Durvakshi, who was another Apsara, Taksha, Pushkara, Sal, and so on. And Sumitra, Arjun, Paladin, Shamikantu, Sudamini, Kankascha, Karnikayam Vai, Ritadhama, Ajayavapi. So Samik and his wife Sudamini had Sumitra and Arjun Pal, and Kanka and his wife Karnika had two sons, Ritudham and Jaya. And now we come to Vasudev finally. After just touching names of different, now comes the real topic. So Pauravi, Rohini, Bhadra, Madira, Rochna, Ila, Devaki, Pramukha, Asan, Patnya, Anak Dundubhe. So Anak Dundubhe is Vasudev, and he had many wives, actually 13, all are not mentioned. So Pauravi, Rohini, Bhadra, Madira, Rochna, Ila, Devaki. Devaki was the chief one among them, and various sons were born from that. So first he is describing Balam Gadam Saranam cha Duromadam Vipulam Dhruvam Vasudevastu Rohinyam Kritadinu Upadayat. So from Pauravi or from Rohini, Balram, Gada, Saran, Durmad, Vipul, Dhruv, Krita. These were the sons born. So sometimes Krishna is called Gadagraja, the elder brother of Gada. So this Gada is not from Devaki, but from Pauravi. But Krishna must be senior, because Devaki was the senior of all of them. So Vasudeva must have married these others later on. And then Subhadro Bhadravahascha Durmado Bhadra Evacha Pauravyam Tanya Hiete Bhutadya Dvadasa Bhavan. In Pauravi there were 12 children. Bhuta, Subhadra, Bhadravaha, Durmada and Bhadra, and so on. And then the next one is Madira. Nice name. Madira means wine. So that is one of the wife of Vasudeva. Nando Upananda Kritaka Shuradya Madiratmaja Kaushalya Keshinam Tuekam Asuta Kulanandanam. So the sons of Madira were Nanda, Upananda, Kritaka, Sura and so on. And then Kausalya gave birth to only one son whose name was Kesi. And then we have Viprishto Dhritadevayam Ekya Anak Dundube. So from Dhritadevi there was only Rochnayam Jata Hasta Hemang Gadadayaha Ilayam Ulvalakadin Yadumukhyaji Janat. Then from in Rochna there was son called Hasta Hemangade. Hasta and Hemangadi. And in Ila there was Uru and Valka. So these are the different children who were born. And then from Dhritadeva was born Viprashto. Viprashto Dhritadevayam Ekya Anak Dundava, only one son. And Shanti Devatmaja Rajan Shamprati Shrutadeya. And from Shanti Devi or Shanti Deva was Shram and Pratishruta. Raja ne Kalp Varshadya Updeva Sutadasa Vasu Hansa Suvansadya Shri Devadaya Shatasuta. And then from Updeva he had 10 sons headed by Kalpavarsha. And from Sri Deva he had Vasu, Hansa, Suvansa, etc. 6 sons. Devarakshita Labdha Navchatra Gadadeya Vasudeva Sutan Ashtav Adade Sahadevaya. And from Devrakshita there were 9 sons headed by Gada. They were just like the Ashtavasus. And from Sahadeva there were 8 children, Puru, Vishrut and so on. And Kirti Mantam Shushenam Cha Bhadrashenam Udardhi Rijum Sammardhanam. Puru Vishrut Mukhyanastu Shakshat Dharmo Vasuniva Vasudevastu Devakyam Putran Aji Janat. So from Devaki there were 8 children. And they are described here as Kirtimanta, Shushena, Bhadrashena, Udardhi, Riju, Sammardhanam, Bhadram, Sankarshanam, Maheshwaram. Kirtiman, Sushen, Bhadrashen, Riju, Sammardhan, Bhadra, and Shesha or Balram, Sankarshan. And then 8th one is the big boss. Finally he comes. So Ashtamastu Tayor Asit Swayam Eva Harikila. The 8th one is Hari himself. So this is Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. So here also it is said Swayam Hari means he is not an avatar, but he himself came. And Subhadra cha Mahabhaga Tav Rajan Pitamahi. And Subhadra is the sister. So Subhadra was born after Krishna. So 8 boys, then 1 girl. And the 7th boy got transferred to Rohini. So he is known as Rohini Nandan, but originally he was Devaki Nandan. So he is also true in 2 mothers. And Krishna got transferred, so he also has 2 mothers, Devaki and Yashoda. So this is Subhadra, and which is Parikshit's grandmother, right? Pitamahi. Because Parikshit's father was Abhimanyu, and Abhimanyu was son of Subhadra. Okay. So now all this big list is finally over. It's a big relief. Hearing names after names after names. So now it's all going to be about Krishna. From here onwards, already we start. Once Krishna comes, then everything else stops. So yada yada hi dharmasya kshayo vruddhischa papmanah tatatu tadatu bhagavanisha atmanam srijate hari. So this is a sloka similar to what we have in Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna says yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyuthanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijanyaham. So similar sloka, yada yada hi dharmasya kshaya. So whenever there is a